Alright, hey y'all, my name is Mia Reed. I'll be going over the gas turbine cycle, the gas turbine slash jet engine next week. So the goals of the experiment is to understand the turbogen, turbine, electrical generation system, jet engines, and thermodynamic properties of the Rankine and Brayton cycle. So here's our experimental apparatus. So as you can see, in the beginning it starts with the engine air intake. And the air enters the intake. This part is called, like this front part, it's called the SR30TM engine. The air comes in, it's compressed by the centrifugal compressor, which is next. And then the fuel is mixed and combusted in the combustion chamber, which is like here-ish. Combustion chamber. And then that creates a thrust which drives the power turbine. And the thrusting accelerates out through the thrust nozzle, which is here. And then the back half is the turbogen TM. We direct the thrust through a thrust transition direct deflector, and then which causes thrust to drive another turbine wheel called a free turbine, not mechanically connected to any engine, only thermodynamically connected. And then the free turbine drives an electrical alternator, which generates electricity through an electrical load, which is at the end. Okay, so this is a schematic of a Brayton cycle for a gas turbine and the cutaway of the engine on the back half. So this is called an open Brayton cycle because on this side there's no heat exchanger here. It just empties out into air, or in this case into an engine. So here's a photo of the graph of a Brayton cycle. This is analyzed with controlled volume around each of the devices shown. Like I said, a graph. Here's some equations. Yep. Okay. So here's the math of the Brayton cycle. This is how you find the overall conversion efficiency of the cycle. You take the heat ratio, heat low over heat high, specific heat. Sorry, and then that you turn that into enthalpies to help solve the equation. And then that turns into the change in temperature times specific heat value, which more math. So from the ideal cycle, we know that the pressure increase in the compressor equals the pressure decrease in the turbine, which is the P3 over P4 equals P2 over P1. And that turns into the isentropic equation. So you use those to finish solving out the efficiency. Okay, here's how you find the efficiency of each of the specific compressor and turbines. And this is just a graph of how the efficiencies will affect the ideal. Okay, so here is this will make a little bit more sense once I get to the next slide, but I couldn't fit both pictures on the same one. So here's that same picture again, but it shows like kind of like the number codes of what it's going to look like on the screen when we're doing the experiment. Yeah, it's basically all the same stuff. So here's the screen when we're actually doing the experiment. It tells you the T1, which was the compressor inlet pressure. It says it here, and so on and so forth for the rest of them. That's what that first picture is. It's a guide to how you figure out the values for these, and it tells you all these pressures. It tells you all these pressures and temperatures and things like that. And whenever we go to take the data from the experiment, we use the plot tools where we change which temperature we want plotted, which pressure we want plotted, so on and so forth. It's a kind of neat graphic. Here's the power system control panel. So whenever we go, since this is a turbo engine, there's a lot of pre-checks to make sure that it's working correctly. Here's a picture we're going to be using to kind of set it up before we actually start it. Just to give you, so you kind of have a visual of like what we're talking about later. So one is the master switch, which controls access and engine operation, which is here. And then the green start button, obviously is green. That is the automated engine start and has some other functions. The red stop button means immediate engine stop. The T-handle power lever, which is 4, which is this one, is the engine RPM thrust control. And then 5 is the load lever, which is the blue handle, controls excitation loading on the electric alternator. 6 is the auto start LCD screen display. So, and then some other stuff is not as, like, we still need it, but it's not as, so. Here's some preliminary information. Fuel is kerosene. Energy content per unit volume of fuel is 135,000 BTU per gallon. And density per volume of fuel is 800 kilograms per meter cubed. So here are the limitations of the engine. I do not know why the capitalization did that, but this is what's happening. So these are the limits that we cannot go above, or the engine will fail, basically. Okay. So here's a list of the pre-start. It's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. So the basics are, you have to do these before you can start, or else you don't know what's going to happen. It has to be completed prior to operating. You have to put on hair protection and safety goggles. Fire extinguisher, you have to figure out where it is and how to work it. You have to make sure the thing's locked, the wheels are locked. You have to make sure the key master switch is in the off position, and that the engine throttle is minimum power, and that the load lever is in pin position. And then more pre-start. They'll take a general visual inspection of everything that's happening. That is like completely listed out in the procedure in the manual. It's a lot of stuff. Fuel quantity has to be checked. The oil quantity has to be checked. You have to connect the suitable electrical service to the turbo gen, make sure all the wires are plugged in correctly. You have to make sure the air pressure is minimum 120 psi. Make sure the computer is connected and the computer is turned off. Start operation is shut down. So basically, you turn the switch on. It goes. You have to make sure that all the panels are turned on. You have to make sure that the generator load lever is in the on position. Okay. Yeah, you have to make sure all your LCD screens are on so you can get the correct readings. The engine start can now be initiated, which you do by pressing the green button, and it all just kind of goes. You have, like I said, you have to make sure all your LCD screens are on so you can read what's happening on the LCD screens. The engine may be stopped at any time by pressing the red stop button, and after the engine has cooled down, the RDY will once again be displayed on the LCD screen, and you'll know that it's ready for another start. Here are some causes of uncertainty. Instrument uncertainty, obviously, if there's a leak in the fluid line, that's obviously going to cause uncertainty, and if you don't have the exact barometric pressure of the location, which we need for calculations. And that is it. You have